move on to Propositions 20 and 27. The reason we're discussing these ones at the same time is because they pretty much deal with the same topic, but they're on the opposite sides of the topic. Proposition 20 is about redistricting of congressional districts. And what this one says is that it removes elected representatives from the process of establishing congressional districts and gives that power to a 14-member redistricting commission that is made up of civilians. But Proposition 27 takes the power away from the 14-member commission and gives it back to elected representatives. So it just seems odd to me that they have these two propositions on the ballot that basically oppose each other. If they both are passed, then the one with the greater number of yes votes is the one that's going to go into effect. So first let's talk about Proposition 20. Sonia, you are for this and for letting civilians have the say-so in how their districts are made up.
Yeah, I think taking out politicians from the picture will definitely help us come up with a biased, or unbiased, districting for each elected individual. And I think it's good that it's composed of an equal amount of Democrats and Republicans, and then people who are neither.
Well, that stance, of course, puts you against Proposition 27. I just want it might be a little confusing, yes. But seeing as she's for Proposition 20, that means she's con Proposition 27. Sade, you are against Proposition 20, which means you are for Proposition 27. You think elected officials should still be in charge of the...
I do. And honestly, we're a democracy. I get that we as a people need to stand up and have a voice, but I think some things need to be left to professionals. I think it's not their fault we're in the situation we're in now, so we shouldn't take the blame out on them. We shouldn't take the power away from them.
Well, the Redistricting Commission was established by Proposition 11, which passed in 2008. So what do you think? Shouldn't we just go along with, we've already voted on this issue, we've had our say, we've decided that we want the civilians to maybe take a little bit of that power away from the politicians?
I mean, people make mistakes. We could vote for something now, and then the next election, the same thing can come up again because we want to try and repass it, or we were trying to overview it because it didn't work out. So I think we did Prop 11. Obviously, it didn't work out too well, or we wouldn't find ourselves in the position we're in now.
What do you say to people who say that having elected officials involved, it's sort of a conflict of interest?
I don't understand how they would think that having civilians involved wouldn't be a conflict of interest as well. Because aren't the electees the same things? We elected them to be there just as like we would elected the civilians, or if they volunteered to do it.
Well, Sonia, there are the supporters say that civilians are going to be less likely to be corrupted, but of course politicians say the opposite, that the civilians are going to be more likely to be corrupted. What's the response to that?
Well, I think obviously civilians are the ones who are going to be governed, so you want someone who in power who's going to do good for you, and so I don't think politicians saying, oh, civilians are going to be corrupt, that has to be called into question, honestly, because it's a politician saying it. I think it's a good idea because it's not going to cost that much money to conduct, and obviously, like I said, it's equal, 5 Democrats, 5 Republicans, and then 4 people who are going to be registered with neither party, so it kind of, they'll have to come together, and of course there'll be compromises, but I think it's a good mix, and it'll be equal, and we'll find a way to agree.
Sade, regardless of how you feel on the issue, there are those who are saying that having both of these propositions on the same ballot is someone trying to intentionally confuse the voters on this issue.
I would definitely have to agree. I think it's unnecessary to have both of them there. They're both pretty much, one's for and one's against. And it's kind of like, if you do want a for, then aren't you, like, voting for it to be against, so there's no need for the second one. So I think it's some type of psychological or just some ish.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if voters vote to hold up what they already passed in 2008, or if they decide to go back to the previous way things were done.